I live by this, to making the top scores for physics. People you've never talked to can surprise you, like, oh wait, you're actually really, really good. Welcome back. Yeah, welcome back. Woo, welcome back. Welcome back. What? Okay. I need to stop. Welcome back. Thanks for coming back. I have a new video for you guys. As you're watching right now, this video is going to be all about how to get organized for school and some study tips. Now, I know some of y'all are back in school. I know. Boo. Yeah, I know. And let's just say I've gone through the high school system now. You know, girl graduated last year. Woo, class of 2024. Will I ever be going back? Never. Thankfully, I don't have school yet, so I'm chilling. But I know y'all are starting to get back, or you'll be back soon, or already in. I'm sorry. I just want to say sorry for you guys. There's a light at the end of the tunnel, okay? And I'm gonna show you guys some things to see that light a little brighter, you know? And so you can make the school year maybe a little easier and more productive than your past school years. My first tip is, it's kind of obvious, guys, like, get organized. What? What? Really, Giselle? Get organized? That's so creative of me. Wow. Like, I know, it sounds very like, yeah, no dare, get organized. But I specifically mean make weekly planners and like get all your stuff in and like planned out. So like plan your weeks out. Like that's what I did. Personally, I used Notion. And this was like my Notion. I had two Notions. I switched at the beginning or the middle of senior year, but both of these planners worked great because they both had like a place where I could put like my weekly like to-dos. And so I would literally write down like as soon as like I got assigned something and it's due blah blah blah, I would make a timeline, you know, like for when I need to do this day so I can have it done by, let's say, Thursday, you know. Write your due dates down, guys. I mean, like, as soon as you get that assignment, I know you're like, oh, I have a month, like I don't need to. No, put it in your calendar. Like that is one of my biggest tips. Like put it in your calendar, straight in your calendar, so you can get a reminder like, oh, don't forget about this assignment, blah blah blah. Like, or put it in your planner, whatever you need, like whatever system works for you to remember dates. Just make sure you have one. And if you don't have one, Notion, or literally you don't even have to use that. Use a calendar. Just use Google Calendar or whatever, Apple Calendar, whatever calendar system you use it. Make sure you make small completion like task for those assignments. So like when I say that, I mean like, for instance, I had my physics lab report due in October and it was September. So by the end of October, I needed to have the whole thing finished. So every week I had a set goal on how much I needed to have done by the end of that week. So then all those pieces added up to the final complete project, so that I'm not all trying to do it all in one sitting the night before. In general, like when you take your time, you can like really see like, oh, I forgot this. Like, oh, you can see spot mistakes a lot more frequently because you're taking it little by little and you're really taking your time and like investing into each little piece. Okay, my next little like tidbit thingy is to look ahead and like look at the syllabus. Teachers give syllabus for a reason. I know it's like usually you're like, oh, it's just like that stupid paperwork I just need to take from them and like maybe get signed and like turn it in and whatever, like, and like they go over it briefly at the beginning, like before the class starts and whatever. Like take advantage of that because they're telling you exactly what's about to happen in that class, and you need to see if, first of all, that might not be even the right class for you. So you might need actually, I don't think this is good for me. Let me get out before it's too late. Or in general, you can see the supplies. Like I always looked at the supplies and like the class requirements and like use that to formulate how that me and that class would be set and how it would fit into my schedule. For instance, like the class requirements say like there's essay, writing assignments, worksheets, and like based on the timing of them and like how they would be given and stuff, like I would set weekly agendas specifically for that class. Because let's say I get a writing assignment that's due every Thursday. Okay, so then I know that Monday through Tuesday, because I always like to get things done a day earlier than I should have it done. So Monday, Tuesday, I need to make sure I split it up, the work, and get it done then. Syllabus literally tell you some things like way ahead of time. Like they'll be like, oh yeah, and there's this big test that's at the end of this week, or there's 3 tests and this is the date. Note take those so you know ahead of time. Also with study schedules, like say for instance, oh, there's a big test 2 times during the class every 3 weeks. Okay, so you know during those 3 weeks you need to split up your studying, or maybe like the first week you prep for the study, like making flashcards. Like that's what I would prep for my test and make flashcards before leading up to the test. And then like say that second week, oh, then it's time to like start learning, reviewing the flashcards. And then by like the 3rd week before the test, you should have them and focus on your target questions and maybe do practice questions. Like when I say like use the syllabus to your advantage, like use it to your advantage. My next tip is, and it's a really, really big one, and this one's for studying, is form a study group. I cannot recommend this enough, guys. Like study groups literally got me through physics. I went from like being the middle average like grade in the class in junior year to making the top scores for physics. Like I was literally like the top or maybe second top score, most of the time top score, and literally for every single test. In senior year, I was also the top scorer for HL physics. Like when I say like that it helps so much to have study groups, it helps so much. You have to learn how to study. For like little tidbits of like how to form a good study group is make sure you have a variety of levels, like student levels. Like make sure you have like maybe an A+ student, like never misses tests, like, and then like a B student. Like you don't just want all like B students. Like okay, yes, you can do a study group like that and y'all can all improve together, but I feel like it's such an important tool to have multiple perspectives, because you can then see like even that A+ student sometimes will be stumped, and then oh wait, that C+ student that y'all maybe disregard, oh, they actually know a way to do what that A+ student might not. Like you just want so many different perspectives. Like don't exclude so many people out of your study group. Like obviously there's certain instances where you're like, oh, actually no, like you're not helpful, you're distracting in class, then no. But like if it's not that, then like please just welcome a variety of views, points, because it can help. Like people you've never talked to can surprise you and like, oh wait, you're actually really, really good. Like let's work together. Make sure you make a plan on when to meet with that study group. So my study group, we met like right before test. And so we usually do like the weekend before test, so we could like go over all like topics and stuff and confusion and stuff. And then we can self-study by ourselves right before that test too. And so your study group might be a little different and you need to meet like every week or whatever. You just have to adjust to obviously your class and your study group's needs. But again, make that plan on like when y'all would meet. And then my next little thing is make a structure that works for your group. So with my group, we did a lot of basically prepping, like already having like our work done before, or most of us had our work done. Some people obviously like didn't have time, so they just came in with their work not done yet. But like if you had worksheets and y'all had questions, come with those questions already ready, so then instantly that's the first thing y'all can work on. Oh, let's go over these problems, I had trouble, blah blah blah, and you can get help from each other. And then another thing we did was go through like problem sets. So like our teacher, luckily she already provided us problem sets and stuff, but even if you don't have that, like there's plenty of practice questions out there. Like especially with AI now, like you can look up make a practice question for blah 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 subtopic, and try to go through and work the problem and use the teacher method. So every time like we would go to a new problem, one person would go up to the whiteboard and work that problem out on the whiteboard for everyone and like teach it to people, because it's literally so important. It's like how you are able to maybe break something down. Like there's countless of times where my group was like, oh, like we were all stumped, like, oh my gosh, I don't know. But then someone got up, and maybe you don't know how to solve it. If you fake it till you make it, maybe that sparks something in someone, and like be like, oh wait, actually that's how you do it. And like that would happen with our group. Like it's just so important to use the teacher method and just be able to teach out your subjects, because that's how you know you really know your subject and your topics. And then that goes into my like next study kind of point and stuff. It's use the whiteboard method. So I can actually show y'all like some pictures of like my whiteboards. I live by this. When I say like when I was at the library, that's what I was there for. I was using their whiteboards. There's just so much information sometimes, and you can be overwhelmed, and like maybe you like get a lesson here, and like you don't know how they connect. Whiteboard method is able to bring all your subtopics together so you can see them all in one place and get that nice overview. And so how I would structure it is I would first write my vocabulary words, and so just all important terms that you need to know, and maybe terms that specifically that you need to be able to write. That's what I did. I wrote all vocabulary that I need to know, like how to write those specific words defined, because that was a part of IB. You have to be able to define some words. And then my second thing I did was write down any relevant equations. And so I would, again, write down any relevant like equations that were relevant to the subtopic. So like if it was nuclear physics, you know, I would write down all the nuclear and like equations that I would need, or atomic physics, and then I would like categorize it, and then I'd write down what every symbol meant, so I knew the equations back like left and right. Because you like, yes, you were given a formula booklet for IB, but they didn't tell you what the symbols were. And if you don't know the equation good enough, and you don't know, like, what's the point if you don't know how to use it, you know? Like, you need to know the equation and what it means and how it can be used. And then the third point I did was I would draw pictures if there were any relevant pictures. So like if there was any structures, or like the way that gamma emits certain rays, you know, and like how to draw a Feynman diagram, like I would draw that kind of stuff, things I need to know how they look, or maybe how to sketch. I would draw those important diagrams. And then the fourth thing I would do was I would write an overview of subtopics. And so like for every subtopic, like within that big topic, I would write like little bullet points on like important things that I would need to know. And like that's maybe like pops up a lot in tests, and like that's how like I would structure it. The last thing I have for y'all is to learn how to time manage. I know, guys, I know. We all are like, oh yeah, I'm gonna learn how to manage my time. Like, I'm not gonna procrastinate anymore. We all know we still procrastinate. Like I already told y'all in past videos, like I literally procrastinated my own college essays and all that. Like, but it's best to get like still even plan for that procrastination. Like even with my procrastination that I told y'all, I still planned ahead of time, like somewhat. Like I wasn't going into it fully blind, because I knew my procrastination, because I planned around it and learned how to time manage my procrastination. And so like the things I would recommend to you, like to manage your time, is like, especially for studying, I know some people are like, oh my gosh, I can't, like, oh, like I just don't want to sit down and study, blah blah blah, like it just feels so like boring. I personally, like, I learned the best way I study is through timers. So I would set a timer for like 30 minutes to an hour, and I would study for that full period, and then I'd give myself like a 10-minute break where I could either like scroll on like my phone and like go on Instagram, or like message or something, or like, you know, brain rot for 10 minutes, and then I would go back and repeat and do 30 minutes to an hour of studying, and then break again. Like that breakup structure is so important. Like I realized like my studying went way more productively when I started implementing breaks. Like you have to take breaks with your studying. I'm sorry, like you might be able to straight study that first time and like, oh yeah, I crunched 3 hours of studying. Yeah, okay. But then the next time you study, you'll just be like, oh, I gotta do it all again. Like it's not a healthy way. Breaks are so important. You need breaks. Maybe you can go longer without a break. That's cool. That's fine. adjust it, but either way you need to take breaks. And I would also recommend using like study with me videos. I did that a lot when I would study at home specifically. So like the videos that like self do the time for like studying and study breaks, like that's one way. Or if you want something more interactive, there's apps out there that like you can grow a plant or a tree or whatever, and like the more you study, the more the whatever grows, or your character is more alive or whatever. Like whatever method works for you, use it. Either way, just make sure you take breaks and like break up your studying periods. And then my other thing is like, make sure with time managing, you have to also make sure you time your stuff to where you have everything organized for you working during your peak hours. So me personally, I'm a night owl, so I can work pretty late, but I noticed that once it got past 1 a.m., that's when my work would just get sloppy. Like I would just, like I obviously could tell I wasn't making good progress with my work. Like I was just pushing for no reason, and anything I produced would not be like quality work, and like it was basically wasting time for no reason, and I would have to redo it anyways. So instead of wasting that time, like I would specifically make sure I studied in my peak periods of like alertness, of again from like 6 or 7 to like 1 a.m. when I would study at home, or my peak study times right after school from like 4:30 to like I would stay at the library till like 8 or whenever. And so like just make sure you plan accordingly, because you want to make sure you're getting your stuff done in your peak times, because that's when your brain's going to be most alert and you're going to be able to not make mistakes and then waste your time, because you'll have to redo the mistakes anyways. And then my other thing going along with that is like create a structure for your to-do list. So make sure you manage your time for your study structuring. So make sure your first things you're doing is like the time urgent things. You have to get them done, like they're due soon, and they're hard stuff. Like you don't want to just start with the easy stuff, because that's wasting your brain energy, because your brain's going to get more and more tired as you study and do work. So you want to do your hard stuff first and your time urgent stuff first, and then like you want to go on to your like more simpler task and tedious task at the end, so then it doesn't take as much brain power to get those done. All of this is all advice, but you have to make sure it works for you. If it doesn't work for you, you have to then tweak it, adapt it, make it work for you, because if it's not working, then you're wasting your time, and there was no point of you trying like at the first point if you're just like gonna waste your time and not adapt it. Like you have to learn how to adapt it to you, see what works for you, find what works, and then implement it and go for it and go off. Oh, not the go off. Sorry guys, I'll be trying to sound like a motivational like speaker. Like what is this? That's pretty much it I have for y'all today. Thanks for watching. Again, don't forget, come on. Yeah, subscribe. Again, thanks for watching. I post every Tuesday, and so I hope to see y'all next week.